So you're interested in doing some 3D printing. First off, you need to get yourself a printer. If you're new to it, then I recommend getting something cheap like the Anycubic Mono 4K. It was £179 and it's quite compact and does the job really well. Secondly, you want to get yourself some resin. I go for the eco resin. Apparently it's supposed to be less toxic, so happy days. And then after that, you then need your files. Quite a few people ask me about where I get my free files from. It's quite simple. Literally go onto Google and you search for whatever it is that you're looking for. I've had a request from one of my subscribers to do a World War II plane. It's called a Stucker or a JU87. So if we type JU87 and then we're looking for an STL file, so type in STL, and then it will come up with various different sources. I'll check the first one, which is yegi.com. Right, you can filter search options for free ones. And then you select the file that you're after, and hopefully, here we go. Hopefully you can find one of a good quality that comes with images. There we go. And then you go to the download all. You'll then be presented with a little screen and it should automatically download. I've already done this, so then you have a extraction file. If we go to the actual zip location, mine's on my hard drive, Seagate, Junkers, and then extract to Junkers. That should keep everything contained within the file. We go to the file, Junkers, images. Sometimes the images aren't saved. I'm not sure if they get corrupted or what, but you literally just right click, save image, and then save it to the file so that you know which files they are. Alright, then we go to the files. We'll go for bombs because it's a bomber. Open Lychee Slicer. There we go. Alright, so there's our file. If it comes up red, then it means that there's some issues, but you can hopefully fix those in the slicer. There we go. Alright, and then it's a matter of orientation. So what we need to do is, if you rotate it to an angle backwards, about 30 degrees. Some people say 45, but then it can be basically, the taller it is, the longer it takes to print. So you want to try and keep it as flat as you can, but sometimes when you print things flat, it distorts your if you have any like flat faces. So for instance, the wings might be distorted, or the propellers. So if we tilt it at an angle, for whatever reason, it seems to work better. So yeah, we tilt it at a little angle, and then what we want to do is prepare. I set my tips on the supports to about 2.5 mil, and then I use a light support and just literally make sure it's selected and generate automatic supports. Alright, once this is done, we'll just have a quick look over the model to make sure that there's no bits that have been missed. And what we're looking for is, because it prints layer by layer upside down, there's things that are called islands. These are bits of the model that, say for instance, maybe the propeller would be created before the body of the plane, and then what would happen there is, if it wasn't supported, then that would obviously be loose and just floating in the air. So we make sure that none of these bits are left loose, and then if we click and drag down the side of the screen, it shows you step by step, layer by layer, what's generated. So the first thing you can see would be the tip of the tail, and just to make sure that that's covered, because it doesn't look like it is, we'll just generate a support. And you can see that little white support has just been added to it, and we'll slowly go through and just make sure there's no other bits that look like they aren't supported. Looking good. Looking good. Alright, so it doesn't look like there's anything there that should cause any issues. So now we go to export the file, and now you export the file to whatever format that your printer will do. The good thing about the Lychee slicer is that you can put in the profile for whatever printer you're using. It will give you the bed size, it will work out all of the things that basically might cause you any issues. So it does all the hard work for you. You literally just export file. It'll give you an advert. If you pay for it, you can get it to go away, but it's only a 20-second advert, so I don't mind just sitting here and waiting. And then you need to select where you're going to have the file saved to. I keep all of my exported printing files in my 3D models folder. So then drop that down to the bottom. Okay, save. It can take a little while for the slicer to generate your I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's an object file or something, but it takes a little while for it to go through the rendering process. I'm gonna edit this out so you don't have to sit through it all, but once again it will show you the step-by-step process, each layer as it goes through. You can sit here and observe, make sure there's no anomalies or anything like that, but yeah, I won't make you sit through it. A couple of minutes later, rendering's almost done. Once the file's finished, then we'll save it. I'll stick it onto the hard drive, and then it'll be put into the printer and we'll be off. I'm going to take this opportunity to give a shout out to Doing Random Stuff with the Boys for suggesting this, and thank you very much for the support all the way through. If there's any of the subscribers that would like anything, by all means just drop me a comment and let me know what it is that you'd like me to try and make for you. Alright, so now it's finished. It says that it's going to take 2 hours 55 minutes, an estimate of 9.89 mil. It's not going to tell me how much it costs, but it'll probably only cost about £1 or something. We open the file, I'll give you the, we open the folder, that'll give you the file location. Alright, there we are. And then it's literally a case of right click, copy, and now it might get a bit wobbly, but I'm going to show you literally. Take the USB, right, the USB's gonna come up on the menu, and then we paste. Close it all down. Extract the USB. Plug it back in the printer. It's a bit awkward because they stick them down the side. And then turn your printer on. it'll come up with the menu to print. We press print. There we go. And then literally press print. No, don't delete, cancel. Yeah, careful of the touchscreen. It's not 100%. Print. There we go. Right, so now it says that it's going to take 2 hours and 11 minutes. It's a good idea to sort of keep an eye on it every now and again just to make sure that your print's going alright. But other than that, it should just do its thing. Anyway, we'll come back in 2 hours time and we'll see how it's coming on. So, 2 hours later, we return and the print is done. Just have a quick inspection. It's looking good. Right, so now what we need to do is we need to take it off. We need to scrape it with our provided scraper. We need to remember, if you're using any toxic resins, then you need to make sure that it's well ventilated in your printing room. You want to be wearing gloves, maybe even like some sort of mask. When I'm taking them off, I find that it's best to use a bit of tissue, kitchen roll, and a bit of card to put underneath it. So what I'll do is I'll take it off and then I'll let you see. Okay. Right. So now we take it off. We got our provided scraper. You can rinse them like this, but I find that it often leaves the resin where the stand is quite, it branches out and the resin can stick in. And when you're rinsing it out, all of the IPA resin solution will end up getting stuck in there and can cause you problems. So I find that it's sometimes the best idea to remove the supports and then put it into your little bath for bathing. Right. I'll do this and then let you see. So I'll show you my technique on how I remove the supports. Got some thin tweezers and you can just sort of pry them off. You need to be very careful if you've got details. So this has got the wheels, so make sure that I'm not going to be breaking anywhere near the wheels, and then just sort of press down, keep pulling away from the model. With thinner models it can become really difficult. On some of the Warhammer models that I've printed, they've got chains, and with such a small scale it's near impossible to take them off without breaking them. As you can see, it's coming on quite nicely. There we go. There's the model so far. It's going to need a rinse and it's going to need curing, but it's looking good so far. So now what we want to do is, if we put it in a little container and get our IPA, pour some IPA over it, and we give it a bit of a mix around. Trusty stirry stick. You have to try and be a little bit vigorous to get the stuff off, but not too vigorous to break the model. It's a fine balance. Right, so we give it a couple of minutes of doing this, and then hopefully it's taken off any excess residue. A good idea with your IPA is to keep it in an old glass jar and keep it outside somewhere like in a coal shed. I keep mine in my lean-to. You can see that it basically it cures all of the resin that's in there and then purifies your IPA, and then it's pretty much clear as new stuff. So it's quite a useful tip to have. Right. Once we've given it a bit of a stir around, you want to take the resin out. Take the IPA out. To be fair, that's looking pretty good. So sometimes you might get a bit of residual resin left on it, but that's not looking too bad. So I'll sort of dab that off and make sure there's no IPA left on it, and then I'll put it in the curing station. Right, I can see there's still a little bit of residual IPA resin solution on there. So what I'm going to do, take an old brush and just sort of try and dab it off. It's looking a bit better. You'll find sometimes where it's a deep recess or a crease, that, like I said, with the residue left with the IPA and the resin solution, that'll make a gloopy, horrible mess of your paint. So you want to try and make sure that you remove anything like that off of it. But I think that's a lovely little model. I'll stick it under the UV lamp and cure it, and we'll come back to it in a sec. So once again, you can go for a really fancy cure station with all the IPA mix and UV lights and everything built in, or you can get a cheap UV light, and my missus gave me this like cake stand thing. It's awesome when it works. So now you want to give it a couple of minutes under here, try and get every angle you can. So turn it around and turn it over. Just be careful because UV rays aren't good for you, so don't be like tanning under it or anything. So yeah, a couple of minutes under it and that should be fine. Right, so it's had a couple of minutes each side, turned it over, turned it round. It should be about done now. So we'll pull it off and have one final look at it. So there we go. It's quite a beautiful little model, really. So yeah, it's as easy as it is. Literally Google search, type in whatever it is that you're looking for, STL, which is the file that we're going to be printing, and then just download it, extract it, put it into your slicer, support it, put it in the printer, print it, then you wash it, cure it, and then the next step is painting it. So I suppose if you join me in the next video and I'll paint it, and if you've enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you soon.